Did you smack her head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally did. Is that the second time today? Sorry.
You were dropped on your head as a child.
I'm so sorry. Just sit there. Be quiet. How are you doing? How's Isa? Oh, should I not say that? Are we allowed to say her name?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I didn't ask you. Is that a boundary?
No, that's so fine. My sister's in town.
Yay!
You should see what my apartment looks like right now.
Yeah. Probably like when I'm there.
Yeah, pretty much. She does this thing, and she told me she hadn't done it, but she lied because I just found them. She does this thing where she takes her contacts off like right when she's going to bed and just like flicks them and just like lets them land where they may.
She has dailies.
And
Oh, I'm so jealous.
no, and I just found them on my fucking carpet.
You're
She
such
used to
a
do it.
sister. Oh, that's so cute.
She's so annoying. She's so annoying when she does that stuff. And I like, she did it when she stayed with me in New York. And I found them like weeks later because I was vacuuming and I heard like a crunch.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
But it is really nice having her here.
That's
And,
so yeah, I do know. Oh, that's so cute.
it's fun. It's nice. It's nice though.
She go to Pilates with you?
It thoroughly. She sure didn't,
Yeah,
but she
well.
had work. She had work
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah.
Side note, can I just say before I ask you how your day is?
Yeah.
Look at me repping so much merch that isn't ours.
I know, it's very cute. You look great.
Which like
We love both the
Team.
things though.
we love. We got some We're Not Really Strangers. We got
That was a fun night. That's the one you got
was a
when we
great
were there,
night.
right?
Yes, and I said that in order to just plant the seed in people's brains
Yeah. Nice. Good job.
of what's to come.
Good job.
Because one day
It's gonna be something
soon.
like that.
I won't be wearing other people's merch. I mean, I will be, but
Maybe something else in there too.
yeah. All right, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I thank goodness we're also doing that process with people that we actually like really like and are nice and cool and awesome, because
I can't wait to tell that story.
that's going to be a good story to tell. That's going to be a real good story to tell.
We're
We're fine. I tried to take her on a walk just before doing this so that this would be mitigated. Clearly that's not working. And then I also just inhaled a BLT because Maddie's post made me need one. And now my stomach hurts because
Yeah.
I waited to eat till that. And then I ate a huge sandwich in like 2 minutes. So
Sister, it's 12:30.
I know, when
Can't wait that long.
when it just gets, I really didn't mean to, and it just got away from me, one of those.
Yeah.
I kind of love that though.
Yeah.
I'm like, my day's halfway over. It feels like that's nice. Noon always feels like
I
a
said it-
halfway point to me. I don't know why. I'm like, once it's noon, I'm like, oh, the day's basically over.
No, it is a halfway point.
Right?
Also, if you're watching this, I'm sorry about that.
Whatever.
The ring light's annoying. Whatever, deal with it.
Look at Mahal.
I said it to Isa yesterday. I was like, I love that in the summer it gets light so late.
Me too.
But at the same time, it makes my days feel so long.
So long.
And I just like I need them to be over.
And it also feels like while the sun is out, I still have to be like working or be productive.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no. Like it's light till 8 p.m. 9 p.m. is my bedtime. We all know this. So
and it's like
So now I'm like, by noon, I'm like, the day's over.
bro, laying on my couch and watching TV doesn't hit the same when it's still sunny out.
Exactly. The other day, Aaron and I were just talking about this because once again, he was recently in Alabama, and we were talking about how when you're in Alabama or any place that has seasons, you actually feel the passing of time, and you can kind of like reflect like, oh my gosh, last fall, here I was. Here, it's just the same thing all the time. It's literally the same weather all the time, which is just hot or nice. The thing that is kind of cool though, like the flip side of that coin, is it does almost let you be present because time isn't linear anyway. And like, I feel like with the seasons, you kind of are like, oh, year after year. And it's like, no, like literally all we have the present, the past and the future is just made up in our mind. So I feel like it does kind of keep you present because it just always feels the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. Aaron and I were really talking about this.
Like this to me. Yeah. But no, for real, I never understood what people said that about California of like, oh, we want like, trust me, you're going to want seasons. And since I came from New York, I think because I grew up in Miami.
Right.
Where like,
you're like, I didn't really have seasons
rains
there anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't really have seasons. I mean, it was raining a lot, which we don't have here.
Yeah.
Which is nice because like,
sure,
good for the earth, etc. But yeah, we didn't really have seasons, but it's hitting me.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, why is it always nice out? You know?
Why do you think I loved San Francisco? I was like, "Ugh, there's nothing I love more than a cloudy day," you know? Crisp, cloudy
Listen,
day. Mm.
not one piece of me misses getting on the subway with, like, black snow on the
Yeah,
ground.
I can't relate. I've been in snow, like, 3 times in my life, and that I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't eat shit down the subway stairs any winter that I lived in New York is truly, truly beyond
Yeah,
me.
I would've. I would've in a heartbeat.
And then I see mothers, like, with strollers, and I'm like, "You women are warriors fit for
Damn.
battle."
Yeah, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely.
So should we talk about, like, feelings?
I guess. That's my mood. We just were rewatching Chris Clemens' episode, and I'm like, "That's my mood today." Not really. I mean, I'm in a good mood, but I'm, like, in a, like, I don't wanna unpack things mood, kind of.
Well, we don't have to. That's the thing that I feel like people don't realize about this podcast is we did it to ourselves, but, like, forces us to talk about our feelings even when we don't want to. And sometimes, not talking about your feelings is great.
But isn't that kind of what we're talking about anyways, is boundaries with talking about your feelings and other people? So I'm like, it's really on the nose
Yeah.
for today, it's kinda perfect.
Way to bring it back.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and you're always so generous with the way that you speak about your feelings
Oh.
and just, like, holding space for others that I feel like whenever Meadow tells me, like, I just can't, I'm like, "Oh,
You're
she
like, "Oh
can't."
god."
I'm like, "Well, what's going on? She can't."
That's so funny. That's true, but you know what? In honor of boundaries, I'm getting better at pushing that up. Like, me in high school saying that versus me now, like, in high school, I would have already been in burnout for 3 weeks. Now I'm like, "Oh, no,
Mhm.
I feel myself just getting, like, tired." Nope, not to you feel that needle a little bit better when you start
Yeah.
learning. But anyway, okay, so here's what I'm unpacking that I'm not gonna unpack because they're happening. 2 of the main, situations, circumstances are, happening to people in my life, but not directly to me.
So it's,
So
like,
it's
not our
not
place.
exactly, not our place to share, but kind of the root of both of them is the
But here's us
same.
sharing.
Yeah, so here's us sharing. So the root of both of them is I called Gabby and I said this to her this morning. I was like, it's the classic, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. It's like how many
Yeah.
tools and resources and help and support can you give? And then sometimes people are not in a place where they want or can help themselves or wanna change and I'm talking about 2 people's mental health too, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but one of these examples is just such a fucking bummer, and it's
Mm.
someone that, like, anytime the conversation comes up of, "Oh, people don't change," I've been like, "Yeah, they fucking do. I've seen it happen. I've seen it go from gnarly to like, I've seen it, and I've
You've referenced it so much throughout our friendship.
yeah, I have a few of those examples, but there's one that's just the most poignant,
Mhm.
and they didn't change. And that's a lot to fucking wrap your head around too sometimes. Really,
Yeah.
really big bummer, to say it lightly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of that Tyra Banks meme from the episode of America's Next Top Model. She's like, "We were all rooting
Oh
for
my
you."
god, that's exactly how I fucking feel. And then I was watching the Kardashians the other day, and Kendall was talking about Tristan, and she was like, "I fucking anytime I defended him anytime someone had said anything." And I'm like, "That's fucking cool." Like, you feel like a fool. You feel like a fool because it's in this example too, it's someone, using someone. So you feel foolish. It just is gross. But then it's also like, how do I balance? Because my fucking diehard optimism kicks in, and I'm like, okay, so where am I gonna find that belief and that hope and that light anyway? Even in the face of like, are we really surprised? No, but it still fucking hurts.
It sucks. It sucks when
Hurts.
people give us the glimmer of hope
Mm,
and then they rip it away twice as hard.
mm. Because the other
And
thing is like if you're just showing your cards from the start, like if you're just truthful, like it's not an after the fact sort of deal. Why are you
do you
trying
know
to
what
get
it
on the
feels
couch?
like?
Nothing is up there. Come over here. What? Sorry, she's
Do you
crying.
know what it feels It's okay, I heard it.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm like, she's just representing our souls.
Yeah.
It feels almost like when so my sister and I talk about this a lot when it came to the vaccine and people getting
Mm,
vaccinated. and she got into a really big fight with somebody in our family because they came to a family event. This was like months ago when like people were first starting to get vaccinated. They came to our family event and basically didn't they just withheld the information that they were unvaccinated, and instead of just
Oh.
giving people the option of
Uh-huh.
like,
Uh-huh.
"Are we gonna wear a mask around you? Like, are we all gonna get tested?" This was like I mean, COVID's, still a thing, obviously, but like COVID was hot and spicy at this point.
Yeah, I'd be pissed.
And
I'd be pissed.
and so my sister basically made the point of, "Okay, I'm gonna put my beliefs aside for a second of what I think is quote unquote right to do and leave you with this. You are essentially taking away our decision-making ability.
Exactly. That's the
And you're
exact
ripping that away
point.
from us, and
That's the
that
exact
reminds me of
point.
this situation is, like, when you feel fooled by somebody, it is almost that innate anger that
Yep.
rises to the surface of, like, "How dare you take away my ability to make a decision because you were fooling me, you were playing a
It's
character."
controlling. Like you and
Mhm.
like your sister was saying, like, do whatever the fuck you want, but you have to give people the entire truth with the capital T to decide about it. This
Yeah.
also reminds me of we just got asked recently because we've been trying to do cute little AMAs on Instagram on Thursdays. We got
Mhm.
asked what to do when you don't like a friend's partner. And boy, have
I had a
I
lot
learned
to
that
say.
the wrong way. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna
You and I
you put it
have
beautifully, though. You wanna summarize kind of your thoughts about it first?
well, I think you and I have fun perspectives on it because as some the way that
What?
you know what I'm gonna say.
Oh,
As someone, AKA you, with a partner who everybody likes,
mhm.
you can give the perspective of, like, what happens when you don't like the partner, and as someone who has dated people, multiple people, who people don't like, I know what it feels like on the flip side, so when I was answering that question, I kinda spoke from both perspectives. I think if you're dating somebody that or your friend is dating someone that you hate,
Mhm.
honestly, unless your friend is in danger,
Mhm.
I don't think it's your place.
It's not.
And I think that you will fuck up your friendship,
Yep.
and I think you need to go find another friend so you can talk shit about that person with them and like let it out that way.
Yep.
Trust that the universe and karma will do its thing and pray that your friend like crawls their way out of it because as somebody who had everybody in her life screaming at her from every which direction to get out of a relationship, I stayed in it for 4 years
Mhm.
because I had to continue falling on my face
Mhm.
to actually get out of it.
And
Like, it has to come from you. Like, you
if it
cannot.
doesn't, they're taking away that lesson from you, and guess what? Well, like we talked
Yeah.
in manifestation
You're
with
gonna
the
do it again
car, the universe is gonna keep throwing that same lesson at them till they learn it, so they're just
till
gonna
they
keep
learn it.
getting that over and so it's like, can you just
Mhm,
let them learn their own lesson?
mhm. Like, exactly. Like, for my what I was just talking about, that relationship, every time that we broke up throughout those 4 years, it was really because my family and friends were, like, yelling so loud at me to break up with him,
Damn,
and
wow.
it was I always broke up with him because I knew that I had to, not because I wanted to.
Yeah,
And it wasn't until the last time,
you
which
wanted
is the
to.
time that stuck, that it really came from me, and that's when it really stuck, and we both knew it, like, it hit different when we broke up.
Damn, damn.
Because it came from me, because it was that lesson, I had to learn it over and over and over
Mhm,
again, so to the point of the question, it's just it's not your place. I think if your friend comes to you, because there's a nuance to it, right? Because we've had friends, I'm sure that you've experienced this, I've experienced it, where we have friends, and I've done it, and I had to learn the boundary of going to your friends for advice over and over and over and over and over again about a situation. And there's a difference between you needing to vent and you have to make that clear to your friends. Like, I am just here
yeah.
to vent, to let
Mhm,
it out. I don't
mhm,
want your opinion. I don't want
mhm.
your advice. Or if you do want their opinion or advice, then you make it clear. And then as the friend, it's then your responsibility to act accordingly. But do
Right.
not give unsolicited advice on somebody's relationship if they're not asking for it. But then that also leads to the further conversation of creating a boundary when because I've also seen this happen, right? Is like someone complaining about something over and over and over and over and over again that's so unhealthy that sometimes it gets to the point that you have to be like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah, yes. And that's the thing, it's like, it's never your place to tell someone who they cannot date. Everyone's relationship's going to look different from yours. And if you're trying to force the same dynamic of a relationship that you have onto your friend, you need to turn inwards and kind of look at what weird projection that is. Because guess what, babes? Like everyone has something different,
Yeah.
and don't yuck other people's yums and just let people live and make their own mistakes. But wait, I was going somewhere with this. Oh, what another way in which I've learned this the hard way outside of Gabriella's dating choices. Just kidding. But truly, I
You
don't
didn't
know if
even
we've
know
talked
me
about
too.
I know. I don't
You
know.
didn't even know me during that
I
one.
know. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I've had a friend that started dating to someone that I'm close, or I was close to this friend. They started dating someone and they were just coming to me with different things. And I was trying to be helpful, but still hold a boundary. And then the person they were dating got so latched onto me or like that dynamic or my help that throughout the breakup was like, please, can we just meet up? I think we need to talk about this. Like the three of us need to. And I was like,
The three of
the
us.
three of
babes.
us. I was no, literally my reaction. And they were mad at me that I would not. And I was like, oh, this is not. Oh, whoa, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So yeah,
Wow.
people will draw you into some shit. If you give that, people will draw you into some shit. So you really have to just like honor your own boundaries, let people do their thing.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, unless it's of a place of abuse or harm, all bets off the fucking window. You get in there and you get them out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if it's not, sorry, babes.
I will just in general though, like the concept of like the first concept of like the leading a horse to water in terms of someone's mental health. I want us to get really granular on what we
Oh,
think
yeah.
is helpful versus a burden when you're watching someone go through that dynamic
Ooh.
or if you're in that dynamic versus a burden.
It's so frustrating to watch the people that you love make shitty decisions.
Yep.
It's really sad and it's really difficult.
Uh-huh.
And it sucks. It's like the concept of when you're, I mean, I'm sure this is one of my biggest fears with having children is like, I'm so scared of kids getting hurt. And
I
I know that they have to
know.
fall off the
Yeah.
freaking kitchen island in order to learn not to jump on it.
Yeah.
But that just like gives me anxiety even thinking about it. So it's that same concept and it's so shitty, but it's like
This is literally the
I
first
don't
thing I went to therapy for. Like in unpacking my friendship dynamics and how I would always give more than I receive and whatever, like I had to unpack that other people's burdens. Like I fully took on that entire empath energy. That was my own problem. Like my cortisol levels are
yeah.
spiked because they're going, and I was like, that has zero effect
Nothing to
on
do
my
with me.
life. Like truly nothing to fucking do with me. And I would take that. That was dead ass the very first thing I learned in therapy. So this is what I've deduced it to.
I'm chewing. I'm chewing on it.
No, but you kind of are saying the big picture of what my granular things are. Like helpful, provide the resources, learn more, follow up, do the check-in, do the support. Unhelpful, don't give the fucking advice. It's not about advice. It's about the support, asking what they're looking for from you, checking in, like being that friend and having that dynamic, but not taking it on, not giving the advice, not projecting your narrative or dynamic of your relationship or whatever it is, not assuming someone has to do the same thing that you do. You know what I mean? Like that's how that looks and feels in a behavior standpoint.
Do you know what's so annoying?
Huh.
And I mean, we definitely do it on the podcast, but that's kind of the point of the podcast because we're sitting here talking about ourselves. And I know people do it in an effort to relate, and I'm super guilty of it, but nothing infuriates me more than when I am talking about a situation to somebody and they like immediately relate it to their life.
Oh my God. I've watched back episodes of us and been like, ew, I just completely missed the entire point of what you were saying because I was trying to relate and say a story back, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. And I
No, but that's the point
episodes,
of the podcast.
I know, but then sometimes you're like, ew, just listen.
I think that we learned that early on because I think between you and I, it's fine that we do that. But I think when we have guests on, that was a lesson we learned.
That's the line we
us.
learned. Yes, exactly.
The platform is for them. But I think this is the point, and I think the point of the listeners, unless you actually really don't care, I think it's the point is to relate to us in that way. But I'm saying like in personal lives,
right.
It's really frustrating because you made this point earlier. No two relationships are going to be the same. They're not going to. They might have similarities, and you can draw similarities, and maybe you can lead from a place of maybe greater compassion because of it. But it does not mean that you should automatically just be like, well, when this happened to me and I na 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 na," like, unless the person okay, for example, I just recently saw a very old friend, like, total blast from the past that I hadn't seen in
Fun.
so many years. They just got out of a really fucked up relationship,
Oof, not fun.
and they were asking me a lot of questions
Oh,
about
wow, okay.
my fucked up relationship.
Mhm,
Basically saying, "Did they do this to you? Did
mhm,
he do that to you? Did it,"
mhm,
XYZ.
mhm, mhm,
And I could tell that they wanted kind of validation that what they were going through was more than toxic.
mhm, mhm,
So you could tell that they wanted my opinion,
mhm.
but other than that, that wouldn't have been a space for me to interject my own personal anecdotes.
'Cause that is a very that specific situation is so one in which when you're coming out, you're trying to make sense of what just happened to you. 'Cause a lot of
So
the
it's
times
easy
when it's
it's
happening
nice,
in the
it's
moment
comforting to relate,
exactly. So that's a good
to be like, "I'm
example.
not crazy."
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, which I definitely did, which I remember
Of
when I was going through
course.
that relationship, I used to call my cousin and I'd be like, "How often do you fight with your boyfriend?"
Right.
And she would tell me and I was like, "What?"
Oh. You're like, It's not every other conversation?"
Yeah,
What?
I was like, "It's not every 3 hours?
Oh,
What?
exactly. Yeah,
You're allowed to hang out with guy friends?
yeah,
What?
yeah.
What's going on?"
Sorry, what?
Yeah,
Oh, goodness
yeah,
gracious. That lesson we've had to definitely learn the hard way, but it's fine, we've been there.
mhm.
I think also something I wanted to ask you in terms of that process of, like, taking on people's shit or not liking someone's boyfriend or leading someone to like, that kind of weird dynamic of, like, this doesn't feel healthy, like, when you're gonna have to set a boundary. How are you going through that? Like, what do you feel it in your body? Are you noticing after you leave them? Is it like you have to hang out with someone else in order for you to figure out that this doesn't feel good? Like, how are you realizing that or checking in with yourself about that? And how does that feel or look like? Does that make sense?
Do you mean when you're talking to a friend who's going through something?
No, more like how to gauge when it's impacting your mental health.
Oh,
What are those signs for you? Like, when are you noticing? How are you figuring it out? What are you doing?
I think if it's actually getting, like, a genuine reaction out of me when I leave,
Mhm.
where my energy has shifted, because it's one thing to have compassion and be in the moment and be there to support your friend,
Mhm.
but then it's like when you go home and you're alone and you're still sitting in that, like, stickiness and it almost feels like it's happening to you,
Mhm.
there's something off there. And it's
Mhm.
obviously you can have compassion and empathy and, like, feel sad for them or feel frustrated or angry or even angry for them, but when it's, like, actually manifesting, I think, physically,
Mhm.
where I, like, genuinely feel like it's happening to me, that's or honestly, I get really tired.
Yeah,
What about
me
you?
too. Me too. I get
I
tired
get
too.
really tired.
No, it's kind of the exact same way, and I was just thinking back to in high school, me learning that lesson. One of the things that really helped me that my therapist taught me was, like, every time you leave a friend's presence, literally in the notes app on your phone, like, write down how you feel. Like, leave, get in the car to drive
Oh,
home, and write down how that made you feel. And so that was something because I used to not know what that was, and I didn't know what to look for or feel that way because I was so used to it,
mm,
So I started to write down how I would feel when leaving other people's presence and, like, keep notes of it, and it would just help me keep track of that and kind of, like, learn the difference for myself.
that's really
Isn't
helpful.
that a fun one? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Keep the note on your
That's
phone.
very, very helpful.
And not even
That's
a
really helpful.
not don't be, like, judgmental, just, like, you and your feelings and, like, how what
Mhm.
you're experiencing the second you leave someone's presence, like, write it down.
And by the way, don't feel bad if you don't feel bad.
Exactly.
Like, don't feel like a bad friend
Wait, don't feel
because you
bad if
don't
you
feel
don't feel
shitty.
good. Or wait, or don't feel shitty. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah, if you don't
you
feel
don't
bad.
feel shitty.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And that's another thing too is like, fuck, am I not empathetic enough?
No, because sometimes maybe I'm
Not my
speaking
circus,
from
not
an
my
example.
clowns.
Not my circus, not my clowns. Like, it's
Not my
so
circus,
that
not my
thing, and
clowns.
I've had to
Or
learn
not
that
my
at
monkeys. What
work.
is it?
Not monk
Not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't know.
one of
Whatever.
them. Uh
One of them.
That's such an example to kind of just switch and talk about it from a different dynamic that I've seen myself do in work too. Like, I think about being in your early
Mm.
20s and your boss saying something to you and just being like, "Oh my god, the world's going to end and they're so mad and blah blah blah." Blah." And now I'm at this place where I'm like, "Oh, I'm literally just helping you execute something or, like, answer a question. Like, it ain't that big, babe." It's real nice to let go of that dynamic.
Yeah. You know what I kinda wanna talk about and I want your opinion on because I feel like a lot of the questions that we get sort of we've been getting a lot of questions about friendship breakups and boundaries and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And I would love to get your thoughts on setting boundaries with friends when you're not setting them from the beginning. So
Oh,
all of a
oh, yes,
sudden
yes, yes, yes,
shifting your
yes.
boundaries.
Uh-huh. So, like,
So, for
after my
example, right?
therapist told me all this stuff, and then when I had to go out and do it and how I lost all my friends, sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What did that teach you? It's interesting of like when we are so accustomed to being existing a certain way, whether it's in I mean, this hasn't happened tons with me in like a relation in like a romantic relationship because I think that I set certain boundaries. I don't know, I feel like I just navigate it differently.
Yeah.
But I definitely have felt this in terms of family and friends,
Oh, yeah.
where one sort of like relationship existed and then all of a sudden it shifted to something else.
Yeah, I have such a good story about this.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Kim, my therapist, teaches me all these things. I'm like, "Fuck." And I'm like, "Well, what every single friendship I have has this 80-20 dynamic. Like, what am I supposed to I start implementing them now?" She goes,
Mhm,
"Yeah, and you're gonna get a shit ton of backlash because you have taught these people how to treat you, and you have told them for years that this is how they can treat you. So now when you start saying like, no, 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 actually, I'm not gonna be treated this way in the middle of it, people are gonna be like, wait, this isn't how it's been, and they're gonna act like you're the one doing something wrong and blah." She told me what to look for.
mhm, yeah,
Anyway, I really felt it when I'm in the hospital holding my dad's hand who's in a fucking coma and I'm 17 years old, summer before my senior year. My high school bestie calls me. I'm literally holding my dad's hand in a coma, picking up the phone and just screaming about how their camp boyfriend cheated on them and how I'm being such a bad friend because I'm not there for them right now and they're really going through it and blah, blah. And I was just, and this is someone that I had listened to like all the trials and tribulations of that really, whatever.
mhm.
And I was just sitting there and I just listened to the whole thing. And I was like, oh, so this is how it happens. And then they were done. And I just went, fuck you, don't ever speak to me again. And I hung up. I never talked to him again. And it was so funny because I was visiting New York and they were living out there for a little bit years later, like in college. And they DM'd me and was like, oh, I see you're here. Like, we should totally meet up. And I was like, do you not remember what you did to me? Because I'll never forget it.
You're like, "'Cause I dream
Because
about it."
literally, absolutely fucking not.
It's
Fuck
just
you.
people's self-awareness and grip on reality
Whew.
is so low, it's truly unbelievable.
But I did, and the reason why I wasn't mad or anything, I was so easy to be like, "Fuck you, bye," and just not really think about it, never worry about it again,
Mhm.
because it was so clear that, like, I had taught her to treat me like that.
Right, okay, so
Yeah.
what happens that's a very extreme case.
Yes,
What
yes, yes, yeah.
happens let's talk about which by the way, like, here's a lesson that we need to learn, and I think that they leave this lesson exclusively for adults, but I don't think that's necessarily fair, okay?
As
And
many of
it's
the
that
things
your
that we talk about on
friends
here.
we have many seasons throughout our lives.
Mhm.
And it is very normal for friends to come and go throughout those seasons.
Yeah.
And it's also very normal for dynamics to shift.
Mhm.
And it can feel sad. It can feel strange. It can feel like you're being a bad friend. But it ultimately is probably what's best for the two of you in that season. And
Mhm.
you guys may come back together. And I'm not saying that there has to be like a full friendship breakup all the time,
Sure.
but
No,
dynamics
just
dynamics
shifts.
shift. And I
Uh-huh.
think that it's difficult when you're still in school
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you're around them all the time.
Oh, it's so hard. It's the hardest thing in the world when you're still in school.
It's just it's
Mhm.
difficult. You don't have the same access that we have now where we're, like, adults and can literally physically move to different states. We can meet people on the internet, and it's, like, not weird. It's
Or you just grow up and realize that everyone was thinking the same thing. Like, I think about how much I tortured myself thinking I didn't fit in, and then I, like, think back on it now, and I'm like, everyone else was thinking the same thing about themselves. Like, no one
Mhm.
cared. Like, no one's thinking about me that much. Grow up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, we should talk about, like, in another episode, but that ties to the concept of this whole, like, main character energy where we really just think that
Oh,
we're the only ones that exist in this planet.
yeah. We you and I are not fans.
And the thing is, I get the concept of main character energy,
Right, and
but it's just the internet has taken it too
in
far.
the version that we're talking about, right? Like, actually having
Mhm.
boundaries and not taking on other people's things and, like, owning your self-worth, like, yes, all those we ride for, but then you just the internet takes it too far and it's very,
Like your friend
get
that
out of your
called you.
ego, babe. Exactly, exactly, and I think
She really was the only one in her own movie.
exactly, and
Yeah.
why it's so fun to just be so, like, flippant? Flippant?
You love that word.
I use it a lot, don't I? Did I even say it
Yeah.
right though? Flippant
I
and
don't
dismissive
flippant?
about it is because like you and I are and our friend group is so good now at being like the joke about how I'm bad at boundaries, and now every time I hold one, you'll be like, "Oh my god, great boundary, good job." You like we're learning. Like, why can't we just it's so much
Yeah.
fun to have a group of friends with a dynamic of like, here's what I'm actively working on. You please, I'm asking permission for accountability buddies. So you're not like getting mad at me if I don't, but it's like when I do it,
Mhm.
it's like, yay. Or if you didn't,
We're,
you're
like,
like, how'd
excited
that
for you.
feel? Like, yeah, exactly. It's just so refreshing. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's really new. I was sitting at dinner
Mhm.
yesterday with my sister and Maddie said something that I just, like I looked at her and I was like, "Oh, I love you."
What'd she say?
She was we were talking about somebody else who, um, just, like, doesn't have great people around them, and she was like, "Your friend's purpose in your life is to lift you up
Yes.
and shine a light on you that allows you to shine even brighter,
Yes, it really is.
and not dim you, not make you feel small, not make you feel weird in who you
Mhm,
are, and just
mhm,
sort of, like, allow you to live very authentically."
mhm.
And I was just like, "Ugh, it's so true."
It's
And I'm
so
like,
true.
how fucking lucky are we that we have that? And it's like, I just my mom said it too after she visited me. She was, like, telling my stepdad, she's like, "Gabby just, like, doesn't have drama."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, we all, I have boy drama. We all
sure.
have, whatever.
We all have our
There's
moods,
always something to talk shit about."
obviously.
But genuinely, and by the way, people, I got to this place by having boundaries with friends and also friends putting boundaries with me. And I've had dynamics shift within friendships that really hurt,
Mhm.
and we've both hurt each other and we've both whatever, but then I've also had dynamic shifts where nobody did anything
Yeah.
and
It
we
just
just
happens.
both understood that we were growing,
Mhm.
and we love and adore each other and check in on each other and have those friendships, but it's like no one's stuck,
No,
right?
no one.
And the thing is, it's usually not about you. So like it's like let it go. Don't stop taking everything so
Exactly.
fucking personally,
And I will say, like,
you know?
oh my God, I know and I feel it so much as you're saying it because I've so been there. And I will say my one high school example obviously is very extreme. And it may look like it's easier to say that now that I have friends like you and Maddie.
Mhm.
But just my devil's advocate is like, oh, you're newer friends. So I did go into friendships with you and Maddie with different boundaries than I've had in the past, which has allowed us to be so healthy and beautiful.
Yes.
But then my other two best friends that are part of our little girl gang, Sarah and Riley, are two of the people that have known me the longest. And so it really
Mhm.
does show like you can grow together with people and learn how to set boundaries together and how to respect that. You can
Yeah.
find new friends and go in with different level of boundaries. Like you really can kind of
Well,
play like
that's like
every relationship's different. You really
yes.
get to play with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you and I are lucky that like we both have friends from our childhoods that we're so close with still. And I feel so lucky that the girls that I grew up with, I know and love, and like we are in each other's lives. And it's like one of those things where we know we're going to be in each other's lives forever. And I feel like we always knew that growing up. And I feel so blessed. But like that, it's the reason that we're healthy and the reason that we are still able to be friends is that on both ends, both people have decided that we need to release kind of like who we were when we were kids and understand that we've grown.
Yeah.
Like one of my best friends in the whole world did it, wrote me like the
Love her.
nice, I mean, she always
Never
writes
met
me the
her, but love
sweetest.
her.
She's the fucking best. But she wrote me, we've known each other since we were 3. And she always writes the nicest birthday cards. And she wrote me a birthday card last year that I have on my fridge, and I like literally shed a tear every time I'm getting water and like reading this
Yeah.
card. And she said something in the card about how I've essentially grown into the manifestation of everything that I ever wanted to be as a little girl. And
Oh,
how she knows that, like, the little version of me
is so
would be
happy and
so
proud.
proud. And it, like, makes me emotional just, like, thinking about that. But
I
it's
love
like
the idea of friends that literally are able to watch past versions of you and like be so close with a past version
yeah,
of you that's so stoked on the current version of you. Like that is, I
right.
feel that way about other friendships I have, and it is
Like
so much fun. It's such a fucking pleasure and gift to have relationships with people like that. Uh,
yeah. And it's so cool from when you've known each other. Like, every one of my high school girlfriends, like, I'm so proud of every single one of those girls and, like, the people that they are right now.
Yeah.
And, like, we can look back at our memories and be like, "Oh my god, like, yeah, we had so much fun and this, and this," but, like, they're just dope fucking people doing dope fucking things, and it's so cool to watch them grow.
And the only way people do that is by letting them make their own fucking mistakes.
Mhm. This is a really big tangent.
Oh, do it.
Can I tell it really quick, though?
What is the show made of?
I know. So, when I said that I had a blast from the past
Mhm,
recently,
mhm.
and if she's listening to this, I say this with genuine love,
Oh, no.
okay?
Okay.
This person, I haven't seen them in years and years and years. And we've always, like, followed each other, but we just, like we just stopped being friends. We had dinner, they were in LA, we had dinner with our other mutual friend who they've stayed in touch. And I've known these girls since we were in elementary school. I called my other friend that we went to elementary school with after to talk to her about it, and I was just like, it was so bizarre because first of all, like, we kept being like, "Wow, baby us would be freaking out right now. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
this is
yeah.
so weird, like, that we're all
Mhm.
sitting at this table and we are 26 years old."
Aw.
And that was bizarre, but then it was also so bizarre because she came into elementary school, like, I think, like, in, like, the 3rd grade or something, and she was, like, head bitch in charge. She was
Ooh.
so hot, like, so pretty. I mean, she still is, obviously, but, like, she was just this, like, beautiful, hot, like,
Yeah,
young, fresh thing, right? That,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Of course, we all
just
have one. Uh-huh.
immediately was, like,
Ruled
leading
the
the friend
school.
group,
Uh-huh. Yes,
immediately, and I just remember feeling so intimidated by her because of that, and
of course.
I felt like I always needed to, like, impress her.
She's the cool girl. Yes, obviously, that's our
Mhm,
role.
and,
Yeah.
like, we were in the same friend group, but
Uh-huh.
it was just, like it was definitely like, "Oh my god," like, she whatever.
Yes.
It was so weird to me driving home to be like, I was so intimidated by this person, and now to see, like, the growth that we've both had and to be able to sit down as adults and, like, none of that exists anymore
Or to hear
was
stories about how
really
she actually felt at that time.
right, or even, like,
Yeah.
this was the person that was asking me about, like, their relationship.
Mm.
Like, even having that person ask me for advice
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
was a weird feeling, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, "Whoa,
Uh-huh.
just nothing stays the same."
Nothing stays the same, and it's so hard because, like we said, like, time doesn't exist, so when you're in it, it feels like, "How is it ever gonna end?" Like, this it is, this is my present,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
man, nothing stays. The only constant is change, baby, and thank God for that because
Thank God.
we would get real bored
And
and
listen,
real sick
if
of
my Taurus
ourselves.
ass is saying, "Thank God for the change," then you know
I
I mean
know.
it because I
I
hate change,
exactly.
but I'm getting more comfy cozy with it.
Gosh, so you and Aaron, it's just so funny to me sometimes. I like, well, he'll say something or you'll say something, and I'll just take a look back and I'll be like, dude, my fucking real husband and my work husband are the exact fucking same sometimes. Like the two of you are so the same, like about specific things, and then so the same to me in a specific way. It just, oh, nothing makes me happier. We were laughing so hard driving yesterday, going to go get pho. And we were talking about how we were at dinner on Friday night, and I like turned to look some and say something to him, and how you just went and poked your head out, and you're like, "Hi, parents, please include me. Hello, I'm talking to." And
I did.
Aaron laughed, so he was like, her fucking head just went bing.
I said, "Don't I look like Mahal? I'm Mahal." When Mahal is
Exactly.
at home, I turn into
Yes,
Mahal.
we were laughing, so we were like, it was so true. That night
Duh.
was honestly so much fun. That was a great
It was
night.
so sweet.
Yeah,
Sarah, we love celebrating
that
you.
was really fun, Sarah. Take us back.
Wow, I feel like this was a great conversation.
I know, I do too. Did we have anything? Did we have any other poignant things today? I feel like you had a very beautiful example of like boundaries and switching the vocab on that. Do you feel like we kind of landed
Oh,
on that, or do you want to expand?
I feel like that could be saved for a whole other convo.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Keep them on
Yeah.
a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Okay, cute.
You know what I mean?
Oh, look at
I
us.
feel like we've done well. I know. I feel like we've done well. Why ruin a good thing,
Good job, team. Great productive day at the TMV office. Like we have an
guys?
office.
Someone sign us to a network because we
Every
need
the end of every
audio
episode is
help,
us pleading.
begging. Like listen, you don't need to do our research. You don't need to ask our questions. I just really need a sound engineer to tell me how loud I'm being and tell Meadow how loud she's being.
I need someone to buy me new equipment.
Do you guys know how expensive these microphones are?
Yeah, it's dumb.
And the fact that they don't sound great because we are yelling
and it's our fault
is infuriating.
And we plan on doing nothing about it but asking for more equipment.
Sign us.
We're so fun to work with. First of all, that's actually not a lie because Kay, our sound editor or everything editor, literally texted us today about like, God, we just love our dynamic. We have a
like,
very
step away from the mic.
Honest, supportive dynamic.
Like, look at the watch the lines right now. Like, look how high they get when you just said I.
Yours is bigger.
Are we having our first on-air fight?
No, we've already had one. We should just end. We should have ended this 3 minutes ago.
All right. Ciao. For now.
Tune in next week when we continue to learn how to use equipment.
Ooh.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Thoughts Mayberry podcast every Monday.